Action.
Madam Chair, this is the Prime Minister of this House speaking. All around the world, for all the third world country, they live either in a conflict zones, have environmental problems, or they live in poverty. They live under a dictatorship known as no alternative in their country, shackled by the capital, constrained by the social and political situation the country encounter. Except they migrate to developed country to improve life, such as first, escape conflict zones. Second, due to environmental factor, they need to seek another more comfortable environment to escape the extreme climate change. And the third one is to escape poverty. First things first, I would like to bring up why children need to be raised in ethnic enclave. First, our current status quo, they have a certain discrimination of act toward the immigrant, toward the minority of the ethnic in the predominantly country. We could learn from our current conflict at the US. There's always a long time there have been always have an act of discrimination towards the minority ethnic. For example, towards the black ethnic in the US. It's all public know about that, and we could learn from the previous conflict towards the about the Black Lives Matter. It is a truth that the act of discrimination is still going on, even though in the developed countries such as US. That's the first thing first, to avoid act of discrimination towards the immigrant. Second, psychological of the children. Even though immigrants are the minority in the predominantly country, ethnic enclave would support and give a huge impact by developing the children mental and psychological health of the children. It could give them the sense of belongings, and it could give them the sense of ownership as well, that they are in the part of the society even though they are minority. It could help them to gain dignity in the society, and it could make them feel secure that they live in the same brotherhoods, they live in the same neighborhood, even though they are a minority in the white predominantly country. Second, what ethnic enclave could give to immigrants? What I said just now, it's sense of belongings, sense of secure, sense of belongs to the environment even though they are a minority. Second, it's about safetyness. We could have the sense of safetyness by live in the same brotherhoods, by the same ethnic, by the same political and social intentions. They just want to have a better life. Why they are get the act of discriminations. Thirdly, it's about cultural preservation. Even though they live in a new country with which they are a minority, we still need to help them, the immigrants, to preserve their own culture. Even though they will assimilate their own culture with the dominant culture, ethnic enclave could give them the basic fundamental to all the new generation, to the second generation, that they have their own culture. So we would like to emphasize that it's not only about the safetyness, it's not about the sense of belongings, but we do care as well about their cultural preservation. And the fourth things that I would like to bring up is about looking at our current status quo, society's perspective to the immigrants. They have a certain points toward the immigrants. First, I would like to bring up again that discrimination act towards minority is not a new thing again, and we would like, and our house would like to prevent this happens again anytime in the future. So therefore, we strongly believe that the children of the immigrant should be raised in the ethnic enclave. You don't want there is another George Floyd case happening again anytime soon. Second, immigrants doesn't receive the same right as the predominantly ethnic, despite that they live under the same citizenship. We would like to emphasize that even though they are immigrant, but they already have the citizenship in that country, we need them to have the same privilege as the majority of the ethnic, such as political votes, and then we need to give them the same obligations to, and then the third one, we need to give them the same right in the professional work such as working fields, and then give them the same and equal chance for them to grow professionally and then economically. We need to give them the same equal rights to the immigrants to gain and to develop themselves and to have a better life. We are going to create a community here, which is the enclave could provide. We're going to create a community to have to build the sense of belongings, and then to centralize the immigrants, even though they live in predominantly white country. We teach them and raise the children and raise them with our own culture to build the fundamental for their life. And third one, therefore, we could create a better life in all aspects toward immigrant. Thank you.
Panels, whether we like it or not, diverse race has raised certain stereotypes among the society. And we say, if a certain race is let alone, they are going to be consumed. And in our case today, it means that they are going to lose in the face of Eurocentrism. We do not want that to happen, or else we might never be visible, we might never be acknowledged, and we might never belong in that country anymore. We do not want these kinds of things to happen, right, ladies and gentlemen? If we let this happen, then there will be no more place for immigrants in the first place. There are several burdens of proof that we are going to explain in this case. First of all, we're going to explain about how exclusivity will be avoided in the first place. And second of all, we are going to talk about the benefits of implementing this motion and the disadvantages of trying to avoid this motion in the first place. So what is the exclusivity that we are going to talk about in today's motion? We can assume that what is going to be a thing that is going to happen in the first place is that a certain race is only exclusive to themselves, meaning that they are not going to interact with other races and stuff. But we say that this is not going to happen, and it is going to be more harmful if we do not do this in the first place. How is this so? We have to acknowledge that even if you are raised in an ethnic enclave, you are just going to be taught how to live as that certain race, like, ladies and gentlemen. For example, if you are a Chinese, you're going to be taught how to eat, how to behave, and how to talk like a Chinese in the first place. But But it doesn't mean that you're always going to be around only Asian, right, ladies and gentlemen? You will also be around a multi-diverse culture, especially if you are in a predominant culture with a white majority. And we have to know that we are not the only ethnic existing in that specific country, right, ladies and gentlemen. And there are also blacks. There are also the dominant white. There are us as Asians, for example, and there are also Middle East, and there are many other more races that exist in a specific country, especially in a predominantly white country, right, ladies and gentlemen? With this, we can say that it is almost impossible not to interact with the outside world, whether it is on the education platform, whether it is on the working platform, or in any other sectors in life, right, ladies and gentlemen? So we say that that exclusivity will not happen in the first place. So the concern of the opposition will not exist in the first place. And how is it going to be more harmful if we do not implement this in the first place? Firstly, we say that there is going. Let's see to the function of the ethnic enclaves itself. So it means that the ethnic enclaves itself is the one that is going to empower these certain ethnics in the first place, right? Ladies and gentlemen, with this being said, of course, it is going to be better if they are together. So when you are left alone without an ethnic enclave in the first place, it means that there is no community to support you or whatsoever. It means that one day when an oppression really happens, when an oppression really happens, there is no place of shelter, there is no community that is going to support you, because the first community that is going to support you when an oppression happens is not going to be other ethnics, it's not going to be other country, but the first community that is going to realize and that is going to acknowledge this problem is your own ethnic first. And without their existence, you won't live in the first place, and your existence will never be acknowledged at the end of the day. How is racism going to be exclusive for both sides of the house? First of all, we need to know that the problem of racism is not only lies under the government in the first place. The problem of racism or Eurocentrism happens because of the society. The government will not oppress these people, which is true, but however, this government never have the power to fully control the society in the first place. With this being said, of course, the society can still do whatever they want, especially in a liberal places like this. But they have the liberty to do everything. It means that one of them, they have the liberty and the privilege to oppress others, especially in the area of the Eurocentrism in the first place. And this is what we're going to avoid in the first place. So, how is this going to be beneficial for everyone if we implement this motion? Let's take a look at the benefits for the children in the first place. So for the children in the first place, we need to know that children's perspective is not the same as adult in the first place, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we've already told you that children needs more attention and has a perspective that is more limited than an adult in the first place. Of course, with this being said, it is with a more narrow mindset that they have, it is important for them to be built in a place where they can grow, in a place where they seem to belong. Of course, when you are raised as an Asian, you would be expected to raise as an Asian in the first place, not to be raised as a white in the first place, right, ladies and gentlemen? And this is what we want to preserve to the people in the first place, because the society that is going to interact with you is not only going to be your family, but also the community. And we want a certain ethnics to be able to feel like to communicate, to be able to interact with their community in the first place. So this is the sense of belongings that we wanted in the first place. And the sense of without having this in the first place, of course, the children does not know how to communicate with the ethnic. They do not know about where they came from. They do not know about how they usually live, and they do not know about the problem or perhaps the things that is going on that causes them to immigrate in the first place, and they lost the purpose of why they are immigrating in the first place, right, ladies and gentlemen? And this is what we wanted to avoid. Second of all, of how this is going to empower the ethnic itself and how is it going to be beneficial. Ladies and gentlemen, raising children here means that we are going to create a community in the first place, right, ladies and gentlemen? So this means that we are going to set a benchmark in a certain country. With this being said, it means that we are trying to get acknowledged here, like, ladies and gentlemen, either by the state or by the society in the first place. How is this acknowledgement going to be beneficial? It means that it's going to show that you existed. It's going to show that you are also a part of the society. It's going to show that you are also belonging in that certain state, right, ladies and gentlemen? With this being said, this is going to avoid more oppression for happening, right, ladies and gentlemen? With less oppression happening, even if there is going to be oppression happening in the first place, at least we have a place for them. We have a place to protect them at the end of the day, right, ladies and gentlemen? And this is without this existing, they will not have this kind of acknowledgement in the first place. And with that being said, we believe that ethnic enclaves should be the one to raise these children in the first place, and we propose to this motion.